Hello everyone, I have a few extremely exciting announcements to make today regarding the PEQdB software. Firstly, if you go to the studio and select any headphone, you'll notice that under the EQ tab there is an AutoEQ function. So I click the PECdB Hi-Fi target, AutoEQ, and it will generate an EQ to the target. And the special thing is we're now factoring in the treble quality of the earphone itself. Previously, we would have the AutoEQ algorithm compensate for the total energy difference past 10 kilohertz, and this would often result in really high resonance peaks in the treble. And our solution was to add a higher shelf filter, which would bring down the treble level to, at most, the highest current level of the earphone's upper treble resonances. So we're really preserving the treble quality quite well when doing these EQs, selecting the EM6L, for example, auto EQing with the EM6L. And see, it's really not damaging the treble quality of the earphone at all. It's preserving it, and we can select something like the Truthier Zero Red. And this has obviously worse treble, but we can still auto EQ to the target, and it's not going to boost this resonance or try to fill in this dip in the higher frequencies at all. If we go to auto EQ on Squig Link and try to EQ the Truthier Zero Red to the target curve, you can see it does an extremely terrible job. It's boosting in this dip between 8 kilohertz and this resonance, and it's artificially lowering the resonance peak where they're not even occurring in your real ear. This is most likely going to occur around 11 to 12 kilohertz according to 5128 measurements. So the auto EQ in Squig Link is complete crap. It's just using peaking filters. There's no real basis for how this EQ is being done. It's just going to sound really bad. So realistically, what PECdB has done is implemented the first accessible auto EQ algorithm that does not mess up treble quality and preserves the inherent characteristics of the IEM or headphone if it's good. So for example, we can select the Audeze LCD5 and auto EQ it to the PECdB Hi-Fi target and just take a look. And aside from a little bit too much energy at around 8 kilohertz and maybe this 1300 hertz peak, which is not going to be there in the 15 band EQ and the preset EQ, it's tracking the treble of the target really well, and it's not trying to boost this resonance past 15 kilohertz at all, like you might have seen previously in the preset EQ or personalized EQ. And for clarification, what is the PECdB Hi-Fi target? It is essentially just the same thing as the PECdB 3D target, but using more results from more people taking the personalized EQ listening test, and it really just slightly reduced the bass, slightly increased the ear gain, and slightly lowered the treble. When doing blind tests between these target curves, I did notice that the newer results sounded more high fidelity, but less 3D in a more natural way. So that's why I decided to call it the PECdB Hi-Fi target, and it's currently being tested in the Shootout against the Hi-Fi Endgame target, which we used in the paper, so not the Endgame 2024 target. And yeah, we're also using the Endgame IE target as a reference, but some people reported results that the Endgame IE target was scoring higher than the Hi-Fi Endgame and PECdB Hi-Fi targets, and this was only because there was a bug in the auto EQ algorithm at the time, which was boosting 8 to 10 kilohertz too much, but that has been resolved, and now the Shootout should be giving accurate results. And just like in the studio, if you select your headphones such as the Audeze LCD5 and do preset EQ, you will notice that the treble quality is preserved and the headphones performance is generally going to be pretty great. Personally, I noticed very little differences between the preset EQ, generated LCD5 EQ, and my manual EQ. Before, like, the resonance in the higher frequencies was just really bad and my personal EQ is way better. I would still say my personal EQ is better, especially because there's no excess energy at around 8 kilohertz. But I mean, it's getting very close to what I can, manually perfect with EQ, which is saying a lot about our auto EQ algorithm. And really, there's nowhere else on the headphone internet where you can get an auto EQ algorithm as good as what we're using currently. The next thing I want to mention is the Find IE and Find OE buttons. So you click Find IE after selecting the PEC DB Hi-Fi target, and you will find the 10 closest earphones in our database to this target curve. It's saying the DA Audio Oracle Mark II is currently the most compliant to the target curve. You can see it's still lacking a bit of bass and has a bit too much energy at around 400 hertz, and this treble seems a bit peaky, but it's the closest that the algorithm thinks is there. And then SIM-God EM6L Hi-Fi Endgame promotes this. This is the Rollo's measurement. There's some other earphones here. So every time you click it, it'll generate 10 different earphones, which should be the closest in the first 10. Well, I guess in incremental order, or decremental order, whatever you want to call it. So the first one is the closest, second is second closest, etc. I'm just going to refresh the page. You can also do Find Closest OE. It's saying that the Meze Lyric 2, it's normalizing at 1000 hertz, change it to 500 hertz. You can see that the Lyric 2 is quite close. I mean, the treble quality is pretty bad, so how useful you want to think this Find OE button, Find IE buttons are is really up to you. People asked for it, so we brought it, but I still recommend getting an IEM or headphone with really good technical performance and then equalizing it to one of these target curves. You'll get better results than just taking one of the Find OE or Find IE headphones. But, you know, I think it's a cool feature nonetheless, and glad to bring it to you. And regarding the updated AutoEQ algorithm, it's also now included in the personalized EQ listening test. So you really need people to take the personalized EQ listening test so that we're able to see if the average or ideal target curve is any different now that we're using a more appropriate AutoEQ algorithm in the highs. But yes, thank you for watching this video, checking out our newest tools and updates, and I really hope you like the newest AutoEQ algorithm, and maybe if you find something useful out of the Find Closest IE or OE, especially for your own custom target curves from the personalized EQ listening test, where you can directly check if there's any IEM or headphone which comes close.